Hello and good day. Today I'll be going through a normal developer cycle, starting up a ASP.NET Core SignalR project, adding some stuff to it. So in this example it's just a chat, so I'll run through the chat example and then I'll start looking into some advanced use cases like adding a simple chatbot, how we can interact with SignalR outside of the normal WebSocket scope. So let's dive into it. I'll be working from Linux, but it should work on whatever platform you want. So if I go in here and say terminal, so I have a terminal up and running. I'll just move it away for now. So let's follow the tutorial. So at the end we'll have something looking like this. So let's go in and look. I'll be following the Visual Studio Code guide, but you can follow Visual Studio if you want, or for Mac. So if I go in here, I can create a new project. So let's just do that. Get the terminal up. So it's created that. And I can open it up in code using the next command. This is just no file, I'll just don't save. So I have the project up and running here. It's already notifying me, do you want to have some build and debug information? I'll just say yes, please add that, so I can easily debug. If I just open the page and make a zoom so it's easier to read. So now we have a basic web app without SignalR. So this is just a web app. If I try to run it, we just run it in here. Whoop. And we have the simple web app. Not much to it. So if I just stop it again, now we have the code for the simple web app. I'll just make this full screen. So if I go back to the guide, I have to add the client library, SignalR, and for that there's this tool, libman. It's integrated into Visual Studio, pretty easy to follow, but I'll just do it through the command prompt. So I'll install the global tool. If I just find my, yeah, I already got it installed. So I can go in and copy this. It will actually be easier to use the terminal inside Visual Studio Code. So now it will actually download the SignalR client library packages, JavaScript files, and put it inside my project. So it will take, yeah, maybe a minute or so. While that's running, I can actually start reading. I'm downloading, and then it will say something like this. So actually the next step is creating the hub. I can just copy this code, go back into the terminal and see if it's done. It's actually done. So if I go back in here, it actually wants me to create the hub now. I'll create a new folder, hubs. And there I'll create a new file, chathub.cs. Just paste in the code. So what this does is actually just saying, whenever I receive the task send message, I'll just look at these two parameters and then I'll resend to all clients looking for a function name, receive message, and then send user and message. So if I go back to the guide, you can see the next step is configuring it startup. So I can copy this. In startup, in configure services, I'll just add that one line. And by memory, I can remember that you need to go down to the configure method here and add endpoints to use SignalR endpoints. So I'll say map hub, chat hub, And in here I have to say where I want to have the hub to exist. So I'll just say chat hub. And I need to make an import to use this, so I'll just do like this using SignalR hubs. And I'll just build, just to see that everything is running. So it's built. So if I go back in here, I can see I added the SignalR, I added the hub. So now I need the client code. And it's recommended us to put it into the index page. So I'll just copy all of this. Find the index page here. So we can see it's just a simple page with a user, message, send button, and then we have the message list. So all the logic will be JavaScript to handle this. We can see we've added SignalR script and we have added a chat.js script. Right now the chat.js does not exist. So if we go back to the guide, we can see pretty much what I talked about. It has the message list and it has the JavaScript. So we need a chat.js file containing this JavaScript. So if I just copy this for now and talk about it afterwards, I can go into my www.root.js, and in here we should have a chat.js. I'll just overwrite this site.js. It's the default one. We don't need that. I'll just call it chat.js. I'll paste the code in. We can see we have the receive message that was described in our SignalR hub function message with username and message, and it will just put in the messages as they come. It has a send button that calls the server. So pretty simple. So if we go back here, we can see that was actually all the steps. I can actually just run the project now and see it work. So if I go back in here, just run it. I could run with debugger if I wanted attached. I can see that it's running. So if I open Chat Hub here, maybe I should open 2 chats just to show that it works. So we have 2 chat windows, so I'll go in with Alice. Hello. And Bob can respond with hello, Alice. So right now you have the basic setup for working with SignalR using the basic tutorial inside of the Microsoft Docs. There's not that much to it. If I go back to the code again, we have some basic JavaScript, just doing some simple replacements and stuff. Inside the chat hub, if I find that again, here, we can see that whenever we receive a sent message, we simply just send to all users that user has sent a message. In here you can do a lot of logic if you want to, for example, color your own messages or something like that. So for the next step, it could actually be funny to have a ChatBot. So I'll just try to make a ChatBot service and then show how we can actually interact with SignalR outside of the hubs. So I can make a new folder. I'll just do like this, services, and in there I'll make a new ChatBot service. Just copy this code in just to get the namespace and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty new to Linux and Visual Studio Code, so I don't know how we automatically get the namespace and stuff. Call this ChatBot service. So now I have a default class. In here I'll just create a constructor, and inside the constructor I'll use the dependency EOC that is built into .NET Core, the container. So I can use something called hub context, as far as I remember. That was right. And I'll be using the chat hub. I'll just call it chat hub context. So that is the context I'll be using to sending the messages. So I'll just refactor this to have underlined in front. I don't like working with this keyword. And in here I can just say like something public task respond to message. And just to make this compile, I'll just say return task.complete task. Or we could just throw a not implemented exception. So what I want to do is, actually every time I get a message from a user, I want to write back hello to that user. So in here I'll have a string user to say who has written the message, and then the string message. So something like if message dot contains hello chatbot, I would actually like to respond back on that. So I can use the hub context for that. So chat hub context. If I just look in here, I can just copy paste this because it's going to pretty much be the same. So if I just make a new line, put it in here, just so I can see dot clients dot all dot send async receive message user comma, and then the new message. So I'll do something like this. So when somebody says hello chatbot, I would like to say hello back to them. So actually the user shouldn't be user, it should be chatbot. And chatbot will just say hello, the username, and then perhaps a smiley face. So I'll just make this async and just say await, and then I can remove this completed task. So if I go back to my chat hub, I can now make a constructor and then use my chatbot service. And once again, I'll refactor it. At some point I should do it so it automatically just defaults to this kind of logic. So the first thing here I want to change is, I still want this to be the first logic to send out the message to everybody that we have this message update, and then I would like to use the chatbot respond to message user.message and just have a wait here. So now I have all the base logic. Now I need to go into startup and actually add our service. So I'll just go in here, services dot add transient, and just say use my chatbot service. So now we should have it all hooked together. So if I go back to this page, I think I have these two still open. If I refresh them, I can say hello, hello. If I just give them a bit more room, so we can actually see the chatbot. So Alice say, hello chatbot. And we can see hello chatbot, and the chatbot responds hello Alice. And we can do the same here with Bob. Hello chatbot, how are you doing? And we can see again Bob says hello chatbot, how are you doing? And chatbot just responds hello Bob. So now we can see how we can actually extend it with actually calling the chat hub context outside of the SignalR hub, because we can just inject a hub context and whatever hub we're working with. So that's pretty simple. But we could also do something like have a snitch that says when somebody browses to another page or something like that. So I'll just copy this for now and just say snitch, and I'll probably just have a string page to say which page the user is looking at. So I can delete the if statement because I want to do this every time. I'll just say all clients still, just tell them when a message is received. Use the same JavaScript logic that we see here. On receive message, just append it in chat. So it will still be the chatbot that'll be talking. It will just say someone just visited page and then the page name. So pretty similar. I'll just use this to snitch when somebody visits a page. So if I go into pages and then find, let's take privacy, then I can add the chatbot here as well. Chatbot service. So as seen before, I'll just add this to the constructor, and then we can use it in here. So we can say chatbot.snitch and just say privacy. I just need to make this async. So build up again. So if I open these two pages and just refresh, we can see that it's working. So if Bob goes to this page, it just say the chatbot just notifies Alice that somebody has visited the page, privacy. So we can also actually call this logic from our controllers. If you're using something like Mediator, you can call it in from your query and commands, and it's pretty nifty. So this is a basic chat example. SignalR actually, Microsoft has some pretty nice sample projects that you can use as well. So if I just close this down, close the project down. If I go into the terminal, I've already cloned the library. So if I cd SignalR, sorry, that was because I had a SignalR chat here. So if I cd into SignalR samples, that is the official samples from Microsoft. So in here we can see they have some Android samples, the chat sample that we've just shown here, where it's done already. They have a Xamarin sample, but I'll be looking at the Whiteboard sample, because I find that the most amusing one to work with. So if I cd into Whiteboard and then open that project, so I'll like to add, don't save. So this is a fresh project. So if I go in side here, click status. It should be a totally clean branch with no information or no changes. So we can see branch. I actually have a branch where I just prototype some stuff before this recording. So if I just go in here and just start debugging, we can see how it looks. So it's just a whiteboard you can paint. Again, it will make more sense to have two windows open. So if I just resized it so it could fit one screen. Like so. I can actually see the one was connected before already has something painted, and the second one only gets the new updates. And as again, if you connect again, we don't have all the stuff here. So it's actually quite annoying that a user does not see what a user has previously drawn. And that's actually what I'm going to add to this example. So we can take a look at the code first. In here, we can look, they have a similar draw hub, and it's pretty simple. It just gives all the previous coordinates and the next coordinates and the string color of what you want to color. And if you look at the client, you can see here it's pretty basic. It has a canvas that you can draw on, and it has some events on the mouse down, mouse up, and save the coordinates and sends over SignalR. But we actually don't need to touch any of the client code. You can if you want to add more functionality like bigger brushes and that kind of stuff. But it's pretty basic. And in this example, actually it seems like they're using jQuery. So if I want to store all the changes that are made on the page so new users can see what has been painted previously, we actually need to store something. So we actually need to store these, and we also need something to happen when a new user connects, so you can see some more functionality of the SignalR, that you can store states when people connects, disconnects, and stuff like that. So for the first task, I'll just make a inline class here. Public class draw point. Let's just stay with that. And then I actually just want to have all these variables stored in here. So public int previous x get set, public int previous int previous y get set, public int current x get set, public int current y get set. And then the color, public string color get set. So in here I'll just say var draw point equals new draw point, and then just set all these fields. Previous x equals, and I'll just go through these quickly. So now I have the draw point now I would like to have some kind of in-memory database to store these in. So again, if I just make it in here, I can move it into a separate file afterwards. Public class draw point db. Awful name, but good enough for now. So in this class, I actually would like to have a constructor. I would actually like to have a list of draw points. So public list draw points. Let's just make it as a property. In this case, this would not be a best practice. I'm just making a total simple, not thread safe database. But this is just an example. You could use a real database, you can use Redis, you can use whatever you want, depending what your use case is. And I'll just make sure it's always initialized. So draw points equal new list draw point. So in here, in my draw hub, I'll actually like to inject my database. Let's just call it DB. So now I have a database for draw points. So I'll just db.drawpoints.add draw point. Missing a semicolon here. So whenever a user actually draws something, I'll just add it to the database. I'll just add this to startup as a singleton, so it's the same one getting passed around to the different contexts. So if I go into startup, I can, similar to my service last time, I can say services.add singleton this time, because I only want one, so that every user don't get their own database. That wouldn't really make any sense. And I'll just say draw point db. So now it's all stored in the database, but the users are not actually getting it drawn. So we need to make an override to override the unconnected. So if I say public override task, here it is, unconnected async. So this is just the base logic. So in here I could actually say for each draw point in db.drawpoints, I actually want to send a message to the client to draw the points. So instead of others, I'll say all. Oh no, sorry. Client.caller, because I actually only want to call the user who's getting connected. It doesn't make sense to redraw all users. I actually only want to call the client who's getting connected right now. And I want to send similarly the draw, but now instead I'll use the database to draw from. So I'll say draw point dot previous y. I'll just make this so they all have their own lines, like so. And just quickly fill out these. So now we have a connected method that actually I start drawing all the points that we have stored from previously drawn. So if I try to just run this again, so if I go in here, refresh, refresh, just close this extra one. So if I start drawing, we can see that actually both clients are getting drawings as before. I can go in here, paint some more, and if suddenly this user disconnects, okay, something is wrong here. I think I've put in the wrong coordinates. Looks pretty awesome though. But yeah, we can see it actually redraws, but it draws the wrong stuff. So if I go back to the code, current X, no, sorry. That's right. Is it in the drawing that's wrong? Yeah, previous Y and previous Y. It should be previous X. Let's just try to run that again. So let's start from scratch again. So that was a small bug. So draw a circle, draw X, draw something yellow, and then this user reconnects, and now we can see actually drawing the same shape again. Actually, we could do something fun stuff with that. Like if we wanted, we could actually measure how long time it took a user to draw like this arc here, or half circle, and then we can actually fake it being drawn. So let's try to do something like that as well, just to give a nice feel to it. So I can actually put in here task.delay, and for this example, let's just say something quick like 250 milliseconds. I actually don't know how many points that are getting stored in the database, but if we go in here and press play again, then we can actually see, whoops, I forgot to add a wait. So we go in here and task delay and make this async. And actually I forgot an await here as well. This could actually potentially have caused a bug. And just say await the base logic. So try to run it again. It should give a nice overview. So let's see how it looks now. Refresh both pages. Green X, yellow X, blue X, and try to refresh. So we can see, actually this might be a bit too slow, but yeah, you get the point that draw, 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 draw. Maybe the speed should be a bit quicker. Actually, there's also some logic you can implement, some algorithms that actually cleans up the lines afterwards, so you don't get these squiggly lines. So it will smoothen out the edges and reduce the number of points saved. So you can do all kind of optimizations. Let's go in and just make this 25 instead, so we actually get a drawing quite quicker. So, whoops, close the other window. Just refresh, draw, 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 and refresh. And then you can see actually it starts drawing pretty fast. But you can imagine at some point, if you don't do some points optimization, you're going to have extreme many points and it's going to be really slow, and you are going to spend a lot of memory storing all those points in the database. So if I just do something like this and refresh, then we can see the history of all our drawing. So actually, now it's actually inside this loop, so if I add a breakpoint, was now running with debug? Oh, sorry, out here. Oh, it's already done. So in here I can actually see my small drawing has already nearly 800 points stored in local memory. Just remove the breakpoint again and continue. But yeah, as you can see, right now it's just drawing, and I can actually show that my program is not thread safe, because if I start drawing, I actually stop the drawing over here. And it's because the list that we are iterating through is actually, what do you call it, being extended and not saved probably. So we should actually clone the list instead of just iterating through it. But yeah, you can do all kind of fun stuff with that. So I think that'll be all for this SignalR demo. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and it would be awesome to have a like on the video and maybe some new subscribers. And that's all for today. Thank you and goodbye.